I'm bringing back Sunday dinners because we could all use a little comfort, and I bet you can smell it right now as I say the words. We are recreating Grandma's Sunday dinner from start to finish. While everyone's Sunday dinner varies a little bit, when I ask the question, when you think of Sunday dinner, what is it? You think of pot roast was the #1 answer. Starting with a rump roast. You've seen me do pot roast in the form of a chuck roast. A rump roast is a little less common, but I think this is what a lot of grandmothers used back then. Sundays used to be slow, but now they're filled with baseball practice and whatever else you have going on. But I'm bringing it back. It's time to slow down. The thing about our grandmothers, when they cooked, it was very simple. So I'm gonna keep everything simple today. We're just gonna start with salt and pepper. So I think that's the way they did it. And when available, I'm gonna modernize Grandma's dinner best I know how, while still keeping to tradition. A rump roast has enough fat going throughout, so you don't need all this fat on top, so I'm gonna trim some of this off. Tried to dress as close to a grandma as they do in 2026 right now. So I'm doing the classic way to make a pot roast, which is start on the stove and finish it in the oven. I'm just gonna start with about a tablespoon of oil and get it really hot because we want to create that flavorful crust on the outside. And that's what you wanna hear. Now this process is gonna take a good 10 to 15 minutes. You want it to be browned on all sides. While that sears, chop up some onion and celery, just keeping it basic. Browned and flavored. I'm gonna set it aside while we cook our veggies in the drippings, onion and celery that I've chopped up. You just wanna cook it for a few minutes just to start softening these veggies. Also gonna add in a few cloves of garlic. I like to smash it and then just give it a rough chop. Smelling good. I'm also gonna add in a little more salt and pepper here. Now, I don't know if my grandmother did this, but adding a little tomato paste is going to help lift off the flavor that remains on the bottom of our pot, and I think it's a good idea. Not much, just about a tablespoon. The best part about a pot roast is the gravy, so I'm gonna try to start thickening up our cooking liquid a little bit so that it cooks in its own gravy. So I'm gonna go in with a little flour to the veggies, cook it for about 30 seconds to a minute, and then go in with our liquid. The liquid combined with that tomato paste is really gonna help lift that flavor off the bottom and keep our pot easy to clean. We're gonna add potatoes and carrots a little bit later, but we're gonna go ahead and get it started in the oven now. Scraping up all that good flavor. Okay, now, one thing that I think our grandmothers did is use bouillon, beef bouillon. I'm going to update that just a little bit by using a bouillon paste. I think the flavor of this is a little bit better. And the flavor's a little deeper than what comes in a carton, so instead of broth. You can see how I've really cleaned the pot, so all that flavor now lives in the liquid. I'm gonna add back in the roast, and for a little more flavor, I'm going in with a tablespoon of Worcestershire and 2 bay leaves. All right, we're starting to simmer, and you can see that our gravy has started to form thanks to that flour. Got an hour and 45 minutes at 325. I feel like if your grandmother was telling you what was on the menu, it would be pot roast with carrots and potatoes, like that. Say it like that. I'm going to do the gold potatoes to go in the pot roast. I love these because they're nice and tender and buttery, especially when they're swimming in that delicious gravy. And then I've got 5 large carrots, and I feel like the iconic look is to cut them into, big chunks like this. I didn't add these at the beginning because they might turn mushy after 4 hours of cooking. So we add them at about the halfway point. So I'm gonna pull our roast out, see what it looks like. Smelling good. We'll give it a little flip. And you can tell, it's still really tough. So we've got a ways to go. Add in our carrots and potatoes. All right, lid goes back on. Back into the oven, 325 for another couple hours. You think Grandma did that? Beautiful. Gorgeous. And it's all ready. The gravy is perfect. Not too thick, not too thin. Look how tender these veggies are. The meat is also gonna be so tender, but just like anything we roast, we're gonna let it rest, and it's gonna be the perfect amount of time to get the table set. We are about to have the best Sunday dinner. I would be willing to bet anything that if you have pot roast on your Sunday dinner menu, that there would be mashed potatoes next to it. Even if we're putting potatoes in the pot roast, because I also don't think you could have the pot roast without potatoes in it. My husband says that he would have rice with his pot roast, but there would also be potatoes in the pot roast. I'd love to know who still does Sunday dinner. We tried to bring it back. Sometimes we do. We were going to do it once a month. It's gotten to be now like twice a year, but hey, it's something. But our Sunday dinner, is pasta. Another thing I think of when I think of Sunday dinner, if we weren't eating at my grandmother's house, for example, we might be eating at the cafeteria. So some of this menu is inspired by the old cafeterias, the cafeteria restaurants, not the school cafeteria. And you want to start them in cold water so you can have your pot ready with cold water. To our potatoes, go ahead and salt your water. You can't really mess this up either. You want to cook these until they are like super falling apart. So in another saucepan, I like to heat up milk and butter. And we're going to add that in instead of adding cold milk in. Just a little trick they teach you in culinary school. Show you how tender these potatoes are. See, they just are super fork tender, not where they're just barely fork tender, but where they almost fall apart. All right, this is key to getting the best fluffy mashed potatoes. Drain them, and then we're gonna put them back in the hot pot. Set it over the burner while it's still hot. This way, any excess moisture can evaporate out. See how they're just kind of falling apart? I like to go ahead and give them a head start mashing while they're hot before I add anything to them, because we're not a fan of like super lumpy mashed potatoes in my house. So I like to mash them at this stage and then throughout the whole process. And we're gonna start adding our warm, buttery milk, a little bit at a time. You don't want them to get too watery. They're light, fluffy, simplicity at its finest. A little taste. It's so delicate, they just float. Salt and pepper. When I make them at home, I usually at this point add in a big spoonful of sour cream, but I don't think Grandma did that. So when it comes time to serve them, while they're hot, I'll add in a little more butter for the top. When it comes to the green vegetable that would be on the table at Sunday dinner, sometimes I think that nothing else existed except green beans. Hands down, the number one answer when I said what was on your table for Sunday dinner. The only vegetable mentioned, green beans. They weren't fancy around my house. They could have even been from a can, but they were definitely short, not like the fancy sauteed haricot vert, okay? Got some bacon cooking back here, and we're going to smother these green beans with a little bacon, onion, and then just let them cook, right? The bacon is good and crispy, and the fat has rendered out. That's the fat we're going to cover our onion and green beans in. And we're just gonna leave the bacon in there. I like to give the onion about a 30-second head start. That way the flavor can extract out of it a little better. One of the top 5 greatest smells is onion cooking in bacon grease. Changed my mind. I know for a fact this is a grandma green bean recipe because it comes from allrecipes.com and it's called Grandma Mac's green beans. So I had to do it with my own twist, of course. The seasonings, I'm going in with some seasoned salt. This is about as classic as it gets. And a little regular salt, some pepper, and then just a little bit of sugar. This is probably a Southern grandma. I know that because it started with bacon. Right now we're gonna add some liquid. It says just enough water to cook the green beans. They'll cook down a little bit, so I'm not gonna submerge them in water. I'm just gonna go about halfway. These are gonna slow cook. Just gonna bring them up to a simmer, cover them, and let them go. About 45 minutes of good simmering. These are gonna be nice and soft. Let me just get a little sample. Grandma Mac knew what she was doing. Whether at your grandmother's or the cafeteria, there was a little salad on the table. And the salad couldn't be more basic. And when I think about my childhood and what I remember is that the dressing that my mom always made sure we had was Thousand Island. So we're gonna have a simple salad with Thousand Island dressing. I'm gonna make the Thousand Island dressing. And you have everything on hand to make it, so you really don't need to buy the bottled stuff. Ketchup. I know separately it's weird. And sweet relish. A little salt and pepper. And my mom always added a dash of vinegar. It's usually about half as much ketchup as there is mayonnaise. You just want to get that nice, like, light shrimpy color. I mean, that took 5 seconds. When it came to salads back then, they were very simple, as is everything else. But no fancy lettuces, okay? We are not bougie back in the day. I happen to love this kind of salad. Basic isn't always bad. They wouldn't go ahead and dress it. It would just be built, maybe even individually plated. Ain't nobody got time for that. Simply lettuce, cucumber, and not the fancy cucumbers, but you can make them fancy. Tomato, cheese, and then croutons. And this is gonna be so good with our homemade Thousand Island dressing. One of my favorite things I used to do is take a crouton like it was a chip, and the dressing was the dip. Still hits. Grandma always had something sweet on the table. The real dessert I remember my grandmother having, I'm gonna surprise you with at the end, but it's not much cooking to that one, so I'm gonna whip something up for you. I did a little poll on my Instagram to see what dessert was most commonly served after Sunday dinner at your grandmother's. The two most popular answers were banana pudding and a pie. Well, you've seen me do banana pudding, so now we're gonna do a pie. And when it comes to pie, I think the most popular was either a fruit pie or a chocolate pie, so I'm gonna do a chocolate pie. So I just did store-bought pie dough, and then we're just going to, in this pot, start with 3 egg yolks. You might have been a part of that poll that I asked on my Instagram, and if you're not, are you following me on Instagram? Shameless plug. Put my Instagram handle at the bottom when I talk about that. To the egg yolks, we're going in with 1.5 cups of sugar. This is one of those desserts that, just like all old-fashioned desserts, they're made with pantry staples. This could be one that you can whip up on the fly. It's a lot of sugar, so you know it's gonna be good. All right, I'm just gonna beat this together until it's good and creamy. Should I do this with a hand mixer? I feel like they would have. I feel like she would have used her electric mixer. These people just walk in and set. My egg yolks were not large enough. Going in with another one. Guess the chickens were bigger back then. So now we put in our cocoa powder and a little cornstarch. This will help thicken it in addition to that egg yolk. Kind of like we're just making a chocolate pudding. And a little salt. Okay, now we add in the milk. It's 3 cups of milk, so that I know this looks really thick. I'm gonna thin it out and then thicken it back up on the stove. Me multitasking. Once this is smooth and well blended, now we go to the stove and we're going to cook it until it comes to a simmer. We're gonna cook it for about 5 minutes until it's good and thick. Recipe states to stir it with a wooden spoon the whole time. All that sugar will dissolve and it'll get nice and thick. It smells so good. Look how thick it is. Coating the back of the spoon. Little sample for me. And then the final step is to stir in a tablespoon of cold butter and a little vanilla. Stir that until that butter melts. Why do we complicate things? Life and recipes were simpler back then. That's why we're bringing it back. All right, now we're gonna pour it into our pie crust. You wanna let it cool on the counter for a little bit and then pop it into the fridge for a couple hours. If you're having the family over on Sunday, you could easily put this together on Friday or Saturday. Time to set the table. Our pie is done. I finished it off with some fresh whipped cream and shaved chocolate. But you wanna know what my grandmother really had on the table for dessert on Sundays? Can you taste it? This is also how they would maybe serve it up at the cafeteria. And this is the time you break out the can. We have 2 desserts because I couldn't resist. Don't forget the bread and butter. There was never a meal at your grandparents' that didn't include bread and butter. We have the feast, start to finish, a grandma's Sunday dinner right here. You will never find a plate more comforting than this. Let's dig in before we go to dessert. I mean, so tender. Look how tender this roast is. I mean, pulls right apart with a fork. I did it. That's the flavor of grandma's pot roast. I'm so proud of that flavor. So you can get that perfect bite with those mashed potatoes. The potatoes just float down your throat, I'm telling you. So soft, so tender, and the perfect vessel for that gravy. Green beans. Wait, don't forget about my healthy salad right here. I'm telling you, we overcomplicate things. They did it right back then. Y'all need to call your family and have them over on Sunday, just for old time's sake. Jiggle, jiggle. I don't even know the last time I had this, and I'm pretty sure I've never served this to my kids. And then our final treat, our chocolate pie. How does chocolate pie for dessert sound? Sounds like my favorite thing in the whole world. I forget about this pie. I don't know how. I'll finish this whole slice, but not in front of you. I'm telling you, if you were looking for a taste of your childhood or just a little nostalgia, Grandma's Sunday dinner is where it's at. From start to finish, a complete dinner, didn't even break a sweat. Take back your slow Sundays and make this menu. You will not regret it. I think I've made the grandmothers proud, don't you? I'm gonna be a good grandmother someday. But not anytime soon. If I just jinx myself, I swear.